So welcome everyone to our third webinar of At Home with Holland Home. And I'm Michael Loafman, Director of Sales for Holland Home. And we're really glad you could join us this morning. I'm joined by the sales team today, Victoria Carson and Cindy Price from our Bretton Woods campus, and Kathy Riebel from our Raybrook campus. So we're going to be here to answer some of your questions. There will be, after this, the person you're working with, whether it's Victoria, Cindy, Kathy, or myself, we'll follow up with you to see what questions might have come up or anything we can help with. And you will remain muted during the course of the presentation today. But there is a Q&A box. So if you have any kind of questions, go ahead and type those into the Q&A. Our two panelists and myself will see those. And at the end, we will answer as many questions as we can get to and see what's on your mind. So after the Q&A, there is going to be a drawing for a door prize. So we encourage you to stick around. So anybody that's kind of local, because they're kind of a big basket, anybody that's local has been entered into that. So, but this is the little steps to do before making the big move. And I think sometimes getting our head around this process is challenging. And so that's why we came up with this idea to share this information. And we're really happy to welcome our two panelists today. Jeannie Jones from Pathway Senior Movers and Michael Courtright from Greenridge. So what we're going to do is Jeannie's going to talk first a little bit about how do you get your brain around it? How do you approach all of this? So she's going to talk for about 10 minutes with maybe some prompting or questions from me. And then Michael will talk for about 10 minutes about some of the things going on in the real estate market. And then finally, we will then do the question and answer. So Jeannie, your floor is yours. Tell us about downsizing and how fun that is. And
it is so much fun. Thank you all for taking the time this morning to join us. We do appreciate it. I'll give you a little bit of history about Pathway Senior Movers. Although our core business is we are a moving company, we are very selective. We're very boutique. We only move seniors into communities or transition seniors. So our process is a little bit different. And the area that you're entering into right now, we understand is probably the most daunting part of the beginning process of thinking about moving. So I'm sure most of you have been in your house for a little while, and the thought of getting your home ready is just a little bit overwhelming. So what we try to do is strategize with a timeline. When we meet with you or talk to you on the phone or just even emails, whatever you're most comfortable with, we establish an artificial timeline. We say, okay, I want to be in Holland Home this time next year. What do I need to do to be organized enough so I don't have any stress in that process? So let's just take for an example, you're going to move into Holland Homes, in 8 months. We're going to set your timeline up for 6 or 7 months. And we're going to say, these are things that need to happen along the way to get your house prepared to sell, to get you prepared for your new move. And we do certain little things. We just take teeny tiny bites. The key to downsizing is to not let it overwhelm you. We have a very, very simple dot matrix that you may be able to see behind me, but I'm just going to hold this up too. This is the basics that we use for your downsizing. And when you look at it like this, it becomes very easy and obtainable. This is something you can do by yourself, or you can do it with us. Pathway will set up the process. We'll come in and let you know, and this is all at no charge. We'll let you know where to start, how to accomplish these goals, and then periodically we'll follow up with you to see how you're doing. We'll get you started if you decide you want to do this by yourself with kind of like a starting kit. Here's some boxes, here's some paper. Here is your new best friend. So we're going to walk through this very slowly, and we're going to touch on this so we understand how the process flows.
So can I ask one Can I just say one thing? So really what you're doing, just to reiterate, and sorry to interrupt you, but you're
No,
taking what is this big challenge. And once you kind of break it up into little pieces, it becomes a
yes,
lot less overwhelming.
correct.
So
Absolutely.
yeah, okay,
When,
great.
when you downsize, and thank you, Michael, when you downsize and sort, you start with one closet, one drawer, and we go through it very slowly. There's no reason. What's very, very common is for people to take everything out of the drawers, everything out of the closets and put them on the pool table. And then you have a big overwhelming pile. That's not how you should do it. So when we get to the matrix here, this is where we're going to start. The green is depending on when you're moving. If you're not moving for a year, we're not going to dot anything with green. It's too soon. But we're going to, anything that's going to go to Holland Home with you, eventually we'll have a green dot on it. And we're going to circle back to you on that because it will start to make sense. The yellow dots are for anything that's going to be donated. So very little in our arena gets thrown out. We try to donate to people who we know are end users. I'm going to give you a small example. I think if I asked everybody here, how many people have vases? People always keep the vases because they came from somebody special. Well, just so you know, your vases will be going to Hospice of Kent County. They take all of our vases. They make about 300 arrangements for family members who have somebody in hospice. And we supply them with probably 500 vases. So what we do with you is we kind of suggest, okay, we have 10 vases. Let's pick out our favorite 3. And the rest we know where they're going to go to. So when you downsize and you have a donation area, because we're going to establish that, the things that are donatable, we want to get out right away. So either you call us, we'll come pick it up, we'll make arrangements for it to happen, but it needs to leave right away. The part of the process of downsizing is to touch it once and have it go. So I'm going through this kind of fast because we only have 10 minutes. Blue is anything that is going to go to your family when you're downsizing. This is a perfect time of year to get a lot of blue on things. If family's coming to visit for the holiday or you're going to go see them, make sure everybody leaves with something. Ask them to take the blue dots and go around the house and put blue dots. You might be very surprised or very disappointed on how much they want or don't want. But we want to make sure that things that are going to go to family or should go to family get there. So we really take this opportunity to have them take things while they're visiting. Every time they come, have a goal to put something in their trunk, whether they know it or not. Let's just keep things going. So as far as downsizing, like I said, in our arena, very little gets trashed. Everything gets recycled, repurposed, reused. The red is we do have a consignment shop in Marne, Michigan. It's in a big old church off the freeway. This is only reserved for the clients that we're helping downsize and sort. So anything you cannot take with you comes here and we sell it for you, and then you get half the proceeds. This is just an option to help you. There's still estate sales, there's garage sales, there's a lot of things, but we choose the situation that is best for you. Now, any one of these things can happen at any time prior to your move, but it needs to continue. We don't do everything in 1 or 2 days. We do everything in like 2 to 4 hour increments throughout the time span. So when we do set up your artificial timeline, and when we decide that, okay, Greenridge has decided we're going to want this house ready by this time, we adjust this accordingly, because we do work together as a team to, in that timeline somewhere is when Greenridge is going to come give you a value of your house and let us know what we're supposed to do to help you get it ready. So this is kind of the snapshot version of the process. We have a lot of do's and don'ts. We have a package that we can send you to help you get started. Whatever you need, we're there for you. And I know this is kind of a lot Typically, the downsizing and sorting is the one thing that really stresses people out the most. So you have to understand, nobody comes in, don't come in and try to do the whole thing in 2 days. Too hard, too hard. Just little teeny bites. We come in with a very disciplined plan. Here, we're going to start in your lower level in this room, and we're not going to move to the next area until this room is 100% done. And all of a sudden you can go, I can do this because I have a team behind me supporting me. So don't let this part overwhelm you. We know, let it overwhelm us. We know we do it every day. We are currently working with about 12 clients through the COVID that we've set up a downsizing kit for them. We bring them boxes while they're home. They're working on this. We talk to them about progress. So there's ways to do it by yourself, or there's ways to do it with the team, but we need a plan.
Great. So Jeannie, I mean, other than trying to take everything at one time, what is maybe one or two other common mistakes that people make in this process?
Well, the biggest mistake is not doing anything. That's the biggest mistake, letting it overwhelm you. We have a plan, and that's the biggest thing, to try to follow that and to establish the timeline of when we're going to have the house ready, when we're going to move. And that's flexible. It's an artificial timeline. The biggest thing about moving is obviously taking too much, but we want to make sure that we're taking the right things. So we do a lot of space planning, and we do a lot of, if there's something that you absolutely love and want to take, we're going to make sure it gets there. And I think you'd be surprised how much you can take if we have a plan. So the biggest thing is just not being prepared. And we make sure you are prepared. Together we do it. Sure. We don't make the decisions for you because you're the boss. Mm-hmm. We just have to make sure that they're the right decisions.
That's great. I see two questions that are very specific to you. So why don't I just ask these while we're here, and we'll transition over to Michael. How's that?
Of course.
How do you do this if you are out of state is one of the questions.
Well, we quite often travel out of state. Your timeline changes a little bit. We just moved somebody from Florida, from Chicago, from Nashville. So I send my team there. Or I work with a certified NASM, National Association of Senior Move Managers. We're a team. I find one in your area that works hand in hand with me. So they do the packing and downsizing there, and then it gets handed off to me to help you when we get to Holland Home. So we do work very, very closely together, but typically I send a team member there.
Mm-hmm. And I can say from Holland Home's experience, you've done that for us for an out of state, somebody in Tennessee that you moved
Mm-hmm.
here. So
yes, that was fun.
Is Pathway a nonprofit?
We are for profit.
Okay. And then there is a question on cost. Somebody's asking about cost. I would assume that could really range greatly depending on how much help you're getting.
That's a great question, and we address that right away because everybody has a budget, and that's very intimidating. So what we do is give you scenarios. If we're there to do this much with you and you're going to do this much with you, you should expect it to be about this. If we're going to do it all, it's going to be about this. We encourage family to help. It helps keep the costs down if they want to, if they can, if they're local or whatever. So we're very flexible. We tailor every move to you. Mm-hmm. So they're not all the same.
Sure. Okay, great. And there's one other question here, and I'll answer it. How to contact. The email we sent out yesterday with the link to register has both Pathway and Greenridge's website address in there. So that's a great way to contact them, or work with the person here at Holland Home you're working with, and they'd be happy to connect you. And I'll talk at the end about a partnership we have with both organizations and how you could get a little extra allowance for the move. So thank you very much. We're going to move over to Michael Courtwright from Greenridge. Michael's going to talk a little bit about the housing market, how to make your house more sellable, some do's and don'ts. So Michael, take it away.
Yeah, Michael, thanks for having us. And Jeannie, thanks for all the great information. We're excited to be here with you, and it's an exciting time in real estate right now. So what I wanted to do is really just give a kind of a broad overview of what the West Michigan real estate market is looking like right now, and I want to put some data behind that, some market statistics. One thing that I really like to look at personally is market data. So we hear a lot of stories about what's happening in the market, maybe how quickly homes are selling, why behind it, and some of the why behind it has to do with some of the market. So if it's okay, I'm going to share my screen here really quick, and I'd like to look and talk about a couple of different graphs here. So Michael, is my screen showing okay to you?
I can see it.
Great. Okay, so one of the ways that we judge the market is this measurement that's called months of supply. And so what that means is if we continue at our current level of available homes for sale, so our inventory, and if we continue at our current sales pace, how long is it going to take to sell off all of that inventory? And so to put this in perspective, a seller's market, we're in a seller's market right now. So that's good news for everyone that's joining the call today. That should be exciting. So what we hear in a seller's market, or what we see in a seller's market, is the number of months of inventory we want to be less than 4. Okay, so 4 months of inventory or less is considered a seller's market. The lower that number, the more of a seller's market it is, or the hotter market it is. The lower that number, the faster prices appreciate. And so that's good news in terms of our values. And so anything under 4 is a seller's market. Between 4 months and 6 months of inventory is considered a neutral market or a healthy market. That's not a bad place to be. That's an okay place to be. That's a good place to be. That's when we see appreciation is usually single-digit appreciation. So that's okay. That's pretty status quo. When we get to 6 months of inventory and over, that's what we consider a buyer's market. And that's where we were back in 2008 through 10. So that's not a good place for sellers to be. It's a good place for buyers. So just to give a historical perspective on where we are, this graph that we're looking at here is the number of months of inventory for the past 5 years in the West Michigan market. So this is specific to West Michigan. It's Greater Grand Rapids and surrounding areas. So one caveat I'll say is, if you're curious about your local market statistics and all of this data, within the greater market area, we have micro markets, and that can be school districts, that can be zip codes, that can be neighborhoods. So the market will fluctuate based on where you're at. This is just a broad market perspective. So it'd be important to talk to your real estate agent, to talk to us about what it's like in your specific area. So looking back for the past 5 years, back in January of 2015 even, we were at this number of 3.6 months of inventory. So that was less than 4, so a good seller's market. You can see that trend line has been steadily decreasing. Most recently, the most recent data we are less than 1 month of inventory. So what that means is basic supply and demand, and we'll look at that in just a second. So we have limited supply and we have high buyer demand. That puts you as a seller in a really good position. So feel good about that. What we're seeing is, as it relates to low months of supply, that relates to values increasing, and I'll show you that right here. So again, a 5-year historical perspective, and this is the broader market area, Grand Rapids and surrounding areas. Back in January of 2015, our average sale price was $162,000. You can see the trend line has been increasing over time. Most recently in the month of November, that average sale price was $266,000. And that's directly related to supply and demand, limited supply, high demand. So again, overall, that should make you as a seller feel pretty good. Just two other graphs I want to show you is homes available for sale. So this is our current inventory. So as a seller, this would be your competition. So again, 5 years ago, we had over 3,000 homes available for sale at a given point in time. And that's a good amount of inventory. Still kind of low, but look at the trend line. You know, we're down to less than 1,000 available homes for sale right now in the Grand Rapids and surrounding area. So what that means is competition for sellers is pretty low and demand is high. So you have a lot of buyers that are competing for fewer listings. So that helps drive those prices upwards. So limited supply, less competition, good news for a seller. The other thing I want to look at is number of sales. So this is per month, every month for the past 5 years. And you can see these ups and downs. This is seasonal trends. So the peaks here are the spring through the summer markets. And then the lower points here are the winter months, and typically January, February are some of the lower sales months. And that's been true. That's been pretty consistent for the past 5 years. One of the numbers that we look at to judge, you know, is there a good amount of demand? Is there a lot of buyers in the marketplace? Is if you can see at any given point in time, if the number of sales or closings in a particular month reaches the 1,000 threshold, that's when we say, yep, that's a good number of buyers in the marketplace. There's a lot of demand out there. And so we typically reach that in March, April, May, and that continues through the summer months. So demand has been really healthy for the past 5 years. Supply has been low. These all equate to really good, just good news for sellers. One thing I do want to point out is one of the questions I get is, should I wait until spring to sell my home? And I would say the answer is not necessarily. You shouldn't always wait until spring, because even if you look here at some of the lower months, we still in the winter months have over 600 or 700 people buying homes in the West Michigan area. So if you're ready to sell, I would say go ahead and do it. There's always buyers in the marketplace. There's always people needing to move. And what you'll find is that a lot of corporate companies, they do their relocation transfers in the winter months. And that's when buyers can be out there looking. So you don't necessarily have to wait. And the other thing to consider is that if you did sell your home or decide to list your home in the winter months, there's not as many listings available. So that means buyers don't have as many choices. And if your home is on the market, that's less competition for you. Notice here in the spring months, that's when people tend to list their homes. That's going to be more competition, so more choices for buyers. So just something to consider. So that's just a basic broad overview of what's happening in the local West Michigan market.
So it's really strong and a really great time to sell is what you're saying.
Yeah, it really is. One of the questions I get, if I can touch on this quickly, and we don't need the graphs for this, but some people ask, well, why is inventory so low and why is demand so high? And it really stems back to the Great Recession that we had, and really three main factors that play into that. And that's right now, builders, or back in 2008, 9, 10, builders really stopped building. Builders have been recovering and building more homes. They just can't keep up with the demand in this marketplace. And couple that with a labor shortage. So builders need more labor to help build homes quicker. So builders can't keep pace with demand. So that's one reason. We do need more new construction coming online, and that's limiting supply. Back in when there was a lot of foreclosures in the Great Recession, we had lots and lots of investors that bought these really cheap homes and they held them as rental properties. And they haven't turned around and sold those. So you have investors that own a lot of these what would be first-time home buyer houses. And so there's really a shortage in that first-time home buyer market because of that. And then also the other reason is people are staying in their homes longer. The national trend has typically been about 6 to 7 years where people would stay in a home and then move on. That number has now increased to an average of 10 years nationally that people are staying in their homes. So that's just limiting the number of homes that are coming online at any given point in time. And then the buyer demand, a couple of reasons why it's so high is, just West Michigan overall is a very affordable place to be. Cost of living is very, very affordable compared to other areas of the country, which makes it a desirable place to be. Grand Rapids has been growing. We have a very diverse industry, a very diverse job market. So that's driving people here. And interest rates are historically low. Interest rates are hovering around 3% right now, which is just incredible. 30-year average is between 6 and 8%, and we're around 3% right now. A lot of people, I'm sure, can remember when interest rates were 10, 12, 17%, which is just incredible. And now we're at 3%. So that's driving people into the buyer's market.
I always love some of the reasoning behind it. We know what we're dealing with, but like it's fascinating to find out some of the reasoning and what are the factors playing into that. So
I get excited about that, and I may have been a little too long-winded in that, but it excites me.
We can tell. You warned us at our rehearsal that you liked facts and figures, so I think that's cool. But in the interest of time, I do want to keep moving. So what are some things people can make their house more sellable, and what are some do's and don'ts that they should be focused on when they're thinking about selling their house?
Yeah, thank you. I'll touch on these quickly. And, Jeannie was talking earlier about, just take some little steps. We don't have to do everything overnight. We don't have to bite off more than we can chew right away. So some of the most impactful things to do are some small minor items. And that would include just take a look around your house and fix the small things. Are there any broken doorknobs or, cracked drywall or missing trim or just paint that can be refreshed? Don't underestimate how taking care of those small items can really affect how buyers see your home. It can make your home much more appealing. If you can eliminate some of those small potential obstacles, then buyers are going to have a better experience in the house. Another thing to do, this is inexpensive and an easy thing that makes a big difference, is just do a good, thorough, deep clean before your home goes on the market. And this can help give you peace of mind because do a good, thorough, deep clean, and then when it comes to showings, you don't have to really worry about picking up too much. You can just be ready and be prepared to step out when showings are scheduled. Jeannie talked about decluttering. So she's the expert on that. I direct questions to her in terms of staging and things of that nature. But just in general, focus on removing any excess furniture when it comes to selling your home. So are there any end tables or any chairs that don't get used? Consider storing those. We want rooms to feel or appear as big as possible and as spacious as possible. And even when it comes to like a dining room table, oftentimes we have these big dining room tables that have a couple leaves inserted into it. If you could remove the leaves and shorten the table, it can make the room feel more spacious. And that's what buyers are looking for these days. Just a couple other quick items here is to depersonalize. Try to remove as many personal items as possible. This can be really difficult because I know we've been in our homes for a long time. But removing family photos, removing collectible items, this will allow a buyer to envision themselves in your space and allow them to have a better experience in your home. That will increase your chances of them having a positive experience and then wanting to write an offer and move into your home. Don't underestimate the power of just a fresh coat of paint or removing wallpaper. Brighten the spaces up. Go for some gray tones or light earth tones would be just fine. I guess I boil it down to this: first impressions are really important. And that starts with the exterior of your home. So I'd take a look, go outside, take a look, try to view your home as objectively as possible. Is the lawn trimmed up? Are the bushes trimmed? Landscaping in order? Is there any chipping or peeling paint on the trim that can be touched up? Garage doors, are they dented? Fix those types of things. If you have a better first impression, that sets the tone for the entire showing. So if people walk up and they see deferred maintenance, it kind of plants that seed of doubt that there might be other things inside that have been deferred in terms of maintenance as well. So if we can just overcome those obstacles from the very get-go with your curb appeal or that first impression, that really sets the tone for a positive experience. So those are a couple things I wanted to focus on, Michael. Any other questions or thoughts you might have regarding some of that stuff?
I think that's really great. Those are some really easy tricks, and I think it's a great reminder about first impressions. And a lot of the things you're talking about are not like huge. You don't have to remodel your kitchen, but fresh paint, declutter, that is just really good. That is really good. So, wow. I've been taking notes because I've learned a lot on this. So I hope our attendees have as well.
So I think I saw a question that talked about, how
I'm just going to ask you that.
Or what should I look for in a real estate agent?
Yeah.
Did I see that correctly?
What I see is, if demand is so high, why should we bother painting something that's that expensive if it's a seller's market? Yeah,
good question. And a lot of times, because that's going to help get you more money for your home, is the short answer to that. People tend to discount. So I'll use a carpet example. If you have a carpet that's worn or might need replacing, when a buyer comes in and they see that, even if the carpet's going to cost, let's say $2,500 to replace that room or those couple rooms, a buyer's going to see that and they're going to think, oh gosh, that's going to cost me like $5,000. They always overestimate the cost of repairs. And a lot of times buyers just want to be able to move right into a home. So yes, we do have high buyer demand. It might seem like it might not be necessary, but overall it's going to help you recoup more money for your home.
That's great. That is great. Makes sense. And it's a great question, Dave. Thanks for asking that. What other, any other questions? We've answered everything that's in the box. So if you've got a question, just type it in there and we'll do our best to answer it.
Michael, I think some of the questions are coming through on chat.
Oh, I don't see that.
Yep, there's appears.
Okay, I'm looking at the Q&A box. So let me close that. Oh, I see here. I see. Yeah, I didn't see the chat stuff. Yeah. So if you could type your questions in the Q&A, so we're keeping it all in the same place. So the question there is, if you're out of town, how do you choose a real estate agent? Do you have out of town associates like Jeannie does?
Yeah, good question. The answer is yes. So at Greenridge Realty, we're a locally owned company right here in Grand Rapids. We do have an affiliation that we're part of called Leading Real Estate Companies of the World. So we like to say, I'm local, I'm global. So what we have is a network of independently owned real estate companies of Greenridge quality throughout the nation and throughout the world. So if you are out of town, we'd love to get you in touch with an agent that would be a good fit for you where you are. And you can simply contact us through greenridge.com and with our contact us now button, and we can get you set up with an agent wherever you might be located.
That's great. Good. So while I wait for another question, let me just talk about a couple of things we offer at Holland Home. So as part of our move-in to Holland Home, we do offer a $1,500 relocation allowance that you can use to hire Jeannie, to hire a mover, to buy boxes, however you can use that $1,500. Now, if you list your home, we have a partnership with Greenridge and Pathway that if you list your home through Greenridge, which you would do through us we would give you a number to call Greenridge, a specific number, and they would assign an agent to you. If you do that, you get another $500 from Greenridge to use with Pathway. And you can use that for, you know, her services, however you want to spend it with Jeannie. They're also, in that arrangement, they are offering a complimentary downsizing and sorting, 2 hours for 2 people, something Jeannie's offering. If you work this plan through Greenridge and Pathway, free in-home consultation. And Michael's going to offer you a reduction in commission from 7% to 6%, and a free value market analysis, free home value market analysis. That's all spelled out in this form here. And this you would have had in your sales packet. We can get one of these to you from your senior living consultant or myself. Be happy to get those to you. Right now at Holland Home, you know, we do have openings. And so we have here at our Breton Homes North, our newest project with condo style living, we have 3 different floor plans that are available. And we have a couple of our regular Breton homes open at this point. We have some 1 and 2 bedroom apartments at Breton Terrace and Breton Ridge. We have some 1 bedroom apartments at Raybrook Estates 1 and Estates 3. Now, we've just been given some discounted, a few apartments have been discounted. So you can really get life care, which is really what you're buying when coming into Holland Home, that promise of life care. That starts at $84,000. So it's really a good time. People are, Cindy and on the team reminds me that people are touring and moving in just like they did before COVID. So we're having a really strong month this month, as an example. If you would happen to reserve in December, you wouldn't move until spring, but you could lock into our 2020 pricing and beat the 2021 price increase. But some of those apartments have been discounted, like I said, up to 7.5%. So there are some good value out there. If you were going to do this anyway, you've already talked about your home's probably worth more. It's going to sell quickly, and you can buy in at a discount here. So some really good things. I am not seeing any other questions. So I think we should do our drawing. And yay. So before I do that, our next webinar is going to be January 27th, Wednesday, January 27th at 10 a.m. Stay tuned for that. The topic, we're just finalizing it. So we're going to continue this through the new year, because we feel like this is really a way to reach people. So, all right, Jeannie.
A question just popped up, Michael.
It says, thank you. This has been most informative. Well, good.
Yay.
Thank you. So Jeannie, could you pick a number between 1 and 19? These are the people that are local, that are on the webinar. And then whoever wins, we'll work with you on getting the basket to you, or you picking it up here at Breton Homes North, or what have you. So Jeannie, pick a number between 1 and 19.
6.
6. All right. So I won't say the last name, but that's Jim and Helen. We'll reach out to you about that. So congratulations, Jim and Helen. And Michael, pick a number between 1 and 19, but don't pick 6.
16.
16. Okay. Peter and Pat. So you know who you are. So we're glad you can. So congratulations, Peter and Pat, the Greenridge gift basket, and Jim and Helen, the Pathway. So really good. So thank you again for joining us. I hope you all have a great holiday. I hope the local people enjoyed your Christmas cookies this morning. We wish you the best holiday season, and Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining, everybody. Take care.
Thank you, Michael. Thanks, everyone, for joining.
Yeah, thank you. Bye now.
Bye-bye.